Have you ever heard of a war won not with guns and cannons, but with stuffed tigers? It sounds like a plot from a quirky historical comedy, but this is a real story from the pages of Indian history. We're diving deep into the incredible tale of Tipu Sultan and his legendary Tiger War. So, picture this. It's the late 18th century, 1767 to be exact. The Indian subcontinent is a complex chessboard of power. The mighty Mughal Empire is in decline, and various regional powers are rising. Among the most formidable is the Kingdom of Mysore, ruled by the brilliant and ambitious Hyder Ali and his son. A young man named Tipu Sultan is already making a name for himself as a fierce and innovative military commander. Their main rivals? The British East India Company. The British weren't just traders, they were a corporate military force with their eyes on conquering India piece by piece. They had superior firepower, disciplined troops, and a seemingly endless supply of resources. Against this behemoth, the rulers of Mysore had to be clever. They couldn't just fight a conventional war. They had to outthink, outmaneuver, and sometimes outpsych their opponents. Our story takes place during the First Anglo-Mysore War. The British, allied with the Marathas and the Nizam of Hyderabad, thought they could easily crush Mysore, but Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan were masters of guerrilla warfare and strategic surprises. They knew their land, the rugged terrain of southern India, better than anyone. The specific incident we're focusing on is a fascinating, almost mythical, event. The records are a mix of historical accounts and folklore, but the core of the story is captivating. A British-led force was advancing, confident in their numbers and their Enfield rifles. They were pushing through dense jungles and hilly terrain, unfamiliar and unnerving territory for many of the European soldiers. Now Tipu Sultan had a lifelong fascination with tigers. He saw them as symbols of power, courage, and royalty. His emblem was the tiger, his soldiers' uniforms had tiger stripes, and his throne was a magnificent golden tiger. This wasn't just decoration, it was branding. He was building a fearsome identity for his kingdom. He was the Tiger of Mysore, knowing the British were on edge in the unfamiliar jungle. Tipu and his advisors devised a plan that was pure psychological warfare. It wasn't about a massive frontal assault. It was about breaking the enemy's spirit before the real battle even began. The plan was simple, yet genius. Under the cover of darkness, Tipu's troops didn't just prepare their cannons, they prepared tigers. Now, hold on. They weren't unleashing live tigers into the British camp. That would be chaotic and uncontrollable. Instead, they used large life-size tiger puppets and stuffed figures. These weren't your cuddly teddy bears. They were crafted to be terrifyingly realistic from a distance. They were mounted on wheeled carts and simple mechanisms. Inside some of these contraptions, soldiers would operate levers and bellows to make the tigers move and, most importantly, to create a horrifying guttural roaring sound that would echo through the valleys. Imagine you're a British soldier, thousands of miles from home, already spooked by the sounds of the jungle at night. Suddenly, from the shadows, you see the silhouettes of massive tigers. You hear what sounds like a whole pack of them, roaring and growling, seemingly getting closer. Panic would set in instantly. The Mysore soldiers, hidden in the darkness, timed their operation perfectly. They would roll these tiger figures along the ridges overlooking the British camp. The flickering torchlight would catch glimpses of these shapes, making them seem alive and menacing. The amplified roars, combined with the real sounds of the jungle, would create an atmosphere of pure terror. The British soldiers, many of whom had never seen a tiger in their life but had heard plenty of terrifying stories, were completely unnerved. Their sentries would fire wildly into the darkness, wasting ammunition and revealing their positions. Sleep became impossible. The men were exhausted, terrified, and their morale plummeted. Was the jungle itself turning against them? Was this land protected by some supernatural force? This psychological assault went on for nights. The British commanders were baffled. Their intelligence reports said nothing about an army of trained tigers. Their troops were on the verge of mutiny, refusing to advance further into this cursed land. With the enemy disorganized, sleep-deprived, and mentally broken, Tipu's actual army then launched its real attack. The demoralized British forces, expecting to be pounced on by tigers at any moment, were no match for the well-rested and highly motivated Mysore soldiers. The battle was a decisive victory for Mysore, and a humiliating lesson for the British. They hadn't been beaten by a superior force of arms, but by a superior force of imagination. This event cemented Tipu Sultan's reputation. He wasn't just a warrior, he was a strategic genius who understood that the mind is the most important battlefield. He used his enemies' fears and prejudices against them, turning the very symbol of the wild, untamed India they feared into a weapon. The Tiger War of 1767 is a testament to the power of unconventional thinking. In an age of escalating firepower, Tipu Sultan proved that sometimes the most effective weapon is a well-told story, a clever illusion, and a deep understanding of human psychology. It's a reminder that history is filled with these incredible, almost unbelievable moments where ingenuity triumphs over brute force. The Tiger of Mysore earned his name not just by fighting like a tiger, but by thinking like one, clever, patient, and terrifyingly effective. So the next time you think about warfare, remember it's not always about the size of the army or the power of their guns. Sometimes, it's about who has the scariest puppets. Thanks for joining us on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this story of historical genius and psychological warfare, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into the fascinating and often bizarre pages of history. Let us know in the comments what other incredible historical events you'd like to hear about. Until next time, stay curious.